We didn't know, we knew that wasn't going to be the name of the company, but it was something to start with. And then I remember we hired this branding firm in Miami that ended up being the firm that created the logo that would become Cameo and iconic. Like this was their first cut at the Cameo logo, and we've never changed it to this day, the word mark. But I remember they gave us 4 choices when we did this big branding exercise, and I think the choices were Hero Hub, Thrillo. Oh my God, one was like Whammy. No, not Whammy. Thrillo, and then Hyped, HYPD. So then I remember I downloaded my entire LinkedIn network, and part of the reason I did this was to again keep people excited and almost like the concept today they call building in public.
Yeah.
Like I did that, and I felt from the very beginning getting my personal community behind Cameo from the earliest days, or the idea that it would become Cameo, at least for my journey, was really, really important. We're a consumer-facing business.
Yep.
My friends and family are going to have to be our first customers.
Yep.
That's just how it's going to work. The first talent that are going to join, when you have the chicken and egg question, are going to be people that I know. So I really felt like giving my whole community access to, things as important as what should we call this consumer-facing brand? And I remember we sent the survey out, and I was really excited about the idea. The company Hero Hub, I thought that was a cool, very aspirational name for what we were going to do. And then, again, the reason this is important, I remember we sent this out, and a lot of my college network is all in New York at this point, and they're all like, that sounds like a sandwich shop, because on the East Coast they call them Heroes, right?
Yeah.
And that's not anything that I would have thought about coming from Chicago. I remember people dogging on Hyped. They're and it was HYPD. It was that's too millennial, too Gen Z. We're going to be dealing with retired athletes.
That's true.
Probably not the right thing. And then Thrillo was something that was again, we didn't love. So then at that point, my brother was like, hey, I think it should, and when we got the feedback, I had people vote. I did a Survey Monkey with those 4 choices. And we put the 3 new ones, and then Power Move, and Power Move won.
Wow.
And we knew that was not going to be good because it was already just a throwaway, filler title. So then, after that, my brother, I remember, was just I think it's it should be Cameo. That's really what this is. People are making a cameo in your lives. Now, the problem was the cameo.com domain was taken and owned, and we weren't going to be able to get that. Cameo was taken on Instagram. Cameo was taken on Twitter. So what we decided to do is we bought bookcameo.com, and then over the years we're able to acquire the domain. Crazy story about how we did that for another day.
The second podcast already announced he's coming back in about a year.
No, or you know what? I can tell it's interesting, right? Especially when you find the perfect name. So we ended up going to GoDaddy. We're trying to buy it. We end up getting in contact with the guy that owns it, and we end up structuring a deal with him to rent the website for 6 years and then have a purchase option to buy it later, because the price that he wanted was astronomical. So it was kind of okay, what if we find, you've owned this website since the 90s. This guy had Kiss.com back in the day.
Wow, he's killing it. Yeah.
He was one of these just OG. And unlike real estate, you can afford to just buy $20 a year to renew it. You don't need to there's no real opportunity cost of it being there. And I remember his friend was one of the early video porn pioneers. So when we signed the lease, the only rule was it can't be video pornography, because if we're gonna do that, we're gonna do it with the guy that knows what he's doing there. So we rented it for 6 years, and just recently, in the last 6 months, we actually finally bought Cameo.
Nice, congrats!
So we now own the website, which is really exciting. And then I remember on Instagram, the person that had at Cameo hadn't posted since 2011. And there was one post ever. And, as our brand got bigger and bigger and bigger, we were verified. I was verified. I reached out to one of my best friends who works at Meta, and she happened to, have gotten to be pretty senior at Facebook, a good friend from college. And, and I told her, I'm like, hey, we really love help, trying to acquire this domain. And because nobody had posted on it, we ended up like, getting it, verified, put it
Nice.
under our name. And on X, we're still, at Book Cameo. There's a producer in LA, and her name is Cameo Wood, and she has at Cameo, and probably once a year I'll DM her. I'm like, "What's your price?" And she's like, "There's no price." And I'm someone, especially with my marketplace, I believe that everybody has a number.
Everyone has a
But
price.
I will just tell you that the bid-ask spread is still infinite, and we haven't made any progress on that. And I think Cameo Wood has blocked me, but it is always funny
We'll keep
because
trying.
so many talent will always, tweet out,
Yep.
"Hey, I'm on Cameo at Cameo." So she has just been getting bombarded, by people tagging her over the years. But yeah, so Cameo Wood, if you're listening, we'd still love to talk about at Cameo.
Help them out. Yeah, we had a similar journey. We were highemil.com, and you had said, hey, everyone needs to know how to pronounce your name. I don't know if it's Emily, email, great advice. And then we went through a similar branding exercise. We went down to Symmetry, Finch, I believe one other, and Subject. And Subject.com, shockingly enough, was the easiest domain to get and the best name.
Yeah.
And so we've never looked back, but we still are Try Subject on a lot of our socials, which I don't love, but we're going to figure it out. Another parallel I definitely wanted to make sure we were able to chat is that you're Mr. 312. I'm Chicago Velardo. I am in LA now, so it's a little bit a little hypocritical, but I love Chicago and it made me the person I am. You spent a lot of time in Chicago and Miami. Can you talk about that? What your journey to Florida was? It sounds like you're back in Illinois, but you're also bouncing back and forth.